What's up, geniuses? Welcome to For the Record. I'm your host, Rob Markman. Now, today's Grammy Award-winning guest has an energy that is unmatched in hip-hop, all right? He helped bring crunk music to the mainstream and to new heights as an artist and producer for artists like Usher, Pitbull, Ciara, Ying Yang Twins. The list goes on. And he continues to make some of the biggest records that we party to today. He just dropped a new single with the late hip-hop legend Mac Dre, and he's here to talk about Lil Jon. Welcome to For the Record, brother.
Hey. You said Grammy Award winning. Most people act like I ain't got no goddamn awards, but I got a lot of awards, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, you know, and I say Grammy because typically that's kind of what we put as the crowning jewel. But I mean, there's Billboard Awards, there's everything, brother, man. You've done it all and done amazing things for the culture.
I'm trying.
We were talking off camera, you know, being from Atlanta and the pioneer from Atlanta. You know, I think a lot of people recognize you and your rise during the crunk era.
Right.
But you were there during the bass era.
Yeah.
You was DJing and around in the scenes in A&R'ing during the Dungeon Family era. Yeah. You saw trap music. You saw snap, EDM as dance music and party music. Like, you've seen the evolution of this thing from the beginning to where it is now.
I was having a conversation with somebody a couple weeks ago, and they were like, do you realize you've had a hit record in the last 3 decades? And I was like, well, damn, I never thought of it like that, but yeah, you're right. I put out my first song as an artist in 1996, and that was a song called Who You With. Before that, as a producer, we produced Capleton Tour, which went on to be like #1 in New York, and also got him signed to Def Jam.
Right.
So that's the early start, and it's just crazy that I can still be here today in the nightclubs, residency in Vegas, and releasing music, you know.
And I want to give you props for that. Me just growing up as a kid in New York City, man, we was talking about what that Capleton record means. I think dancehall is so big. The culture is so big in New York. And that Capleton Tour record was such a big and classic record. And the way that you mixed that and cut up the children's story, the Slick Rick, and put it under and combine the two, that was a huge record in New York, man. And I'll be honest, I knew of that record before I knew who Lil Jon was, before we read the credits.
Right.
That, you know, your reputation preceded you, brother.
Yeah, like that was my first big record as a producer. And, you know, if I'm listening to like the classic dancehall, you know, the 90s dancehall station, and it comes on and it just brings back so many memories, because being from Atlanta, no one was known for, you know, doing dance hall remixes. You know, it was all New York. It was all New York, and I'm sure anybody that heard that record at the time probably thought Bobby Condors or somebody did it. You know, because I mean, it was unheard of from somebody from Atlanta. So yeah, that was the first record. Me and my homie Paul Lewis, we produced that, and that was just the start of my career as a producer.
Amazing, man. Still going off today too. I want to talk about the new. We're gonna get into all of it, man. But I'll be remiss. You just released this new single with the late Mac Dre called "Ain't No Telling."
Yeah.
And again, you being from Atlanta, you being at the epicenter of where hip hop is right now, and steering that ship through different decades, through different eras. You also have this connection to the Bay and this love and appreciation for the Bay. I know Too Short's, you know, first albums were like real influential for you.
Yeah.
What made you want to work with, you know, we lost Mac Dre in 2004.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. And he's one of the hip hop legends.
Yeah.
What made you want to work with Mac Dre posthumously in this way?
Well, I woke up one day and I was like, man, you know, just looking at what I did with E40, Tell Me When to Go, Muscle Cars, and all these other records, and also Blow the Whistle, Too Short, you know. And it's like, wow, I got, you know, some of the biggest records to come out of the Bay Area. And I was like, you know, it would be great to do something with some Mac Dre vocals, because Mac Dre is, you know, also the Bay Area legend god, you know. He, you know, if for you that don't know, like the hyphy movement is basically Mac Dre. That's Mac Dre's thing. The dancing, just the culture of the hyphy movement comes from Mac Dre. So I was like, you know, let me put the Bloodhounds out and see if I can get someone to make a connection with someone that has some vocals. And We got in touch with his mom,
Miss Wanda.
Miss Wanda, and we also got in touch with the Underdog, and they gave me the blessing. His mom gave me the blessing to be able to, to get master tapes.
Right.
For one, get the master tapes and to take vocals from the master tape. So it was quite a process because we had to find a studio, number one, that could transfer the tapes.
Wait, okay, let's go back because the master tapes. You talking about? I mean, we talking about DATs? Are we talking about reels?
We're talking about some reels. I don't know what kind of machine it was, but it was some kind of reel-to-reel player that was recorded on. So, and it wasn't just like a 2-inch reel. Like I can just go to some studios; they still got 2-inch reels. No, it was a special kind of machine they recorded these songs on. So we called around to like 7 studios. We found one that could do it. But they said, you know what? How old are these tapes? Okay, the 90s. Okay, we need to bake these tapes for like 8 hours. So they had to bake the tapes.
What does that mean, bake the tapes?
They had to put them in the oven and bake them. I don't know what the logistics are to all of that, but I guess it's to, I guess if you pull the reel out and it's not in good condition, it can disintegrate, it can rip, it could tear. So maybe baking it makes it, tight or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
So finally, they got it all done, transferred it to digital, sent it to me, and then I commenced to go through 30-plus songs to try to pull some vocals out. So I pulled a bunch of vocals out that I thought I could use that fit with what the vibe was that I was going for, and sent it to the homie DJ Chronic, had him chop everything up.
And you worked with Chronic for years, long
Yes.
time partnership.
Yeah, we produce a lot together.
Yeah.
So he chopped a bunch of things up, and I was like, wow, okay, we got some really good stuff. Because I was like, I don't know if we're going to be able to make it work initially. And then we went in, tightened it all up, and figured out, okay, we're going to use this. This is the chorus. This is going to work for the verse. Then it was about getting the beats done. So we did about maybe 30 beats, maybe more. And I settled on one, and I'm like, okay, this is good. Go to sleep, wake up the next day. That ain't it. That ain't it. And I'm like, this is Mac Dre. I can't mess this up. It's got to be crazy. It's got to be undeniable. Boom, boom, boom. And I can't, this man has a legacy. The Bay will hate me if I mess this up. So, working on some more beats. And then I come up with an idea like, you know what? We have this beat that we did for Janet Jackson that she never used for a remix.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, trying to, see if those vocals work on that Janet beat. And so he puts it on the beat. And as soon as I hear it, I'm like, wow, that's it. That's crazy. Something that we did for Janet Jackson ended up being the one that works for Mac Dre.
How long ago was the Janet? Because you did do a remix for Janet and Nelly, Call on Me.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
No, this was this year.
So
I
new.
think it was early this year or late last year. It probably was late last year we were working on that. It was for her new single, whatever the newest single was that had Daddy Yankee.
Daddy Yankee on it, yeah.
Yeah, so, they just never used it, and I had the beat laying around. And, one thing about the track was I wanted to pull up the sound from Blow the Whistle because I was like, I only used this sound on one track, right? And I was like, if I use it for Mac Dre, it's going to already be familiar to people because of that bass sound.
Right.
And Blow the Whistle has to be one of the West Coast classics that you hear, one of the top West Coast classics. You hear that every set, every party, every club, every weekend,
Sporting
on the West
events.
Coast. So, yeah.
Everything.
So we were messing with the beats with that bass line, didn't get one out of that batch. And like I said, I just so happened to also use it on the Janet Jackson that never came out, and it worked perfectly.
That's dope, man. And then you're rapping alongside Mac Dre. Like, this record is really produced. It wasn't like, look, because I'll be honest with you, man. Growing up, just in Brooklyn, right, and being a big Biggie fan, and when we lose our favorite artist or Tupac too early, there's a lot of material left over, and gets remixed posthumously and put out. Some of it is good. Some of it, sometimes it just don't feel right. Like when you're messing with somebody who's so high regarded as a Biggie, as a Tupac, as a Mac Dre,
That's how I look
there's
at
a lot
Mac
of
Dre.
room for error.
I put Mac Dre up there with Biggie and Pac, and
Right.
you know, legends. He is a legend. So into going into what you're saying now is, yeah, that's one thing that mattered to me, like that really, really mattered to me is how he sounded on the beat. He had to really. That's what was the hardest part about doing coming up with tracks for it, is that we had to match the beat to him. It wasn't the other way around. We had to really make sure he rode the beat and it fit seamlessly together. And like I said, it's crazy that something I did for Janet Jackson sounded the best on that beat. And one thing that really kind of struck me, and I got a little emotional when I sent it to his mom, and I talked to her on the phone to see what she thought about it, and she was emotional.
Wow.
Saying how great he sounded, how it sounded like so fresh, sounded like he just did it. It sounded like it was, he was still here or something. And she was just saying how much she loved it. And so the fact that I made his mom happy, that made me feel good, like, okay, I'm doing this justice.
Well, congratulations, man. That's
Thank
dope. I think a lot of people, I think there's a new generation of fans just learning who Mac Dre
Right.
is. A lot of them through the Drake record, just a simple lyric reference, right?
Right.
They love me like Mac Dre in the Bay.
Right.
And then you go and you're like, well, who's Mac Dre? And then
Right.
there's obviously people from the Bay and who's in tune with Bay Area culture
Right.
and Mac Dre's legacy who just miss him.
Yeah.
So you're really kind of giving generations of fans something new to kind of hang on to and love.
It's funny you say that the missing comment, because that's in reading the comments on social media. A lot of people are like, "Man, we miss Mac Dre. We miss Mac Dre. I'm so glad that you're bringing him back. Like this." So that made me feel good too, that the fans out there appreciate it. Because I worked really hard on this, and it was a process.
It's funny how you mentioned using elements from Blow the Whistle, Too Short song, another Bay Area legend, pioneer, really architect of what's going on in the Bay. Him along with D40 as well.
Right.
So we had Too Short come and do Verified, and he broke down Blow the Whistle for us. And he told us a story, and I want to get your side. We know that you grew up. We know that Life is Too Short was an influential album for you, and
definitely, I wrote it every day in high school.
And he said that the original beat for Blow the Whistle had a lot of elements in it that reminded him of maybe the 80s, the old Too Short. And Short wanted to maybe strip it down a little bit. And you guys in the studio didn't quite see eye to eye on what the record. So explain from your perspective.
Short is someone that I grew up on, but more than that, I was in a terrible contract, like a lifetime contract with this label. Short heard my song, Who You With. He really liked it. He liked, what I was doing. He came to So Def, got me out of a staff meeting, and was like, yo, I want to do some stuff with you. He got me out of the contract, signed me to his label, and then later on, we did records, boom, boom, boom. Later on, a couple years later, he let me out of the contract, no strings attached. Now, mind you, I was in a lifetime contract with somebody else. He gets me out, no strings attached. So I feel, as a man, forever indebted to this guy for doing that, because he didn't have to let me out the contract. And if he let me out the contract, he could have still been getting something off of me. But he let me off, boom, boom, boom. So I've always felt like whatever Short need, I got Short.
Wow.
So what happened was I was working on E40's album. And this is the same week we did Tell Me When to Go, I do the beat. So I do the beat, and it's really just the bass line and drums. I think he's remembering the story wrong, because he wanted to add more elements, and I was like, nah, man, let's just that bass line, man, it's about the bass line. I even remember in the final mix, we did it the way he wanted to do it, and then I did a version with less drums. I think I have it somewhere. But he wanted to add more elements, and I was like, no. But he ended up winning. His version was better because we added keys. I think it's some guitar or something in there. But we added more elements because he thought it was just too like stripped down. So it's reversed.
Maybe I got it wrong. You know what? I don't want to put the legend out there. Too Short is a legend. Lil Jon is a legend.
He remembers it. You probably just got it wrong. But yeah, I wanted it stripped down, and we both are like, we know what we're talking about. We know what we're doing. But sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. So we go back sometimes, like, and I'll be trying to tell him, like, man, I'm telling you. He be like, nah, and then I show improve, and vice versa. And he show improved on me with that one. And not gonna lie, I didn't think the record was all of that.
Yeah.
When we did it and finished it, I was like, it's cool. And the reason I didn't think it was crazy is because we just did Tell Me When to Go. Right. Tell Me When to Go is all this energy. This space for the Stoner Stage Zone. God, right. It's like, it's like super hypey. And then Blow the Whistle is dope, but it's not the same energy. So I'm stuck in that the other energy, and Blow the Whistle has this energy. He won again. It's bigger than Tell Me When to Go.
Well, Tell Me When to Go has its own story too, because that came at the end of a session you were telling me earlier.
Yeah,
right?
We were in the session. It was the end of the night. I packed my book bag up. I was leaving, and that's a really long story. So let's start earlier that day. Earlier that day, when me and 40 talking about getting people on the album, I'm like, who's that Mexican dude that's on that song? And he's like, Mexican dude? He was like, Keith the Sneak, he's black. I was like, he sound Mexican to me, bro. And I was like, we need him on the song, bro. He dope, because he had the That's My Word.
Yeah.
I don't think they know That's My Word. So I'm like, man, we need to call him. 40 calls him. He's in Atlanta on his way to the airport.
Wow.
All of this is destined. This is predestined to happen. He's on his way to the airport. So 40's like, nah, man, come to the studio. We working. So he says, F the flight, comes to the studio. We in the studio all evening, all night. Boom, 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 boom. So this is, fast forward, it's 5 a.m. Pack my book bag. I'm about to leave. One of his boys comes in the studio drunk and high, and he's just like, tell me when they go. Tell me when they go. Tell me when they go. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I was like, I'm making a beat to that right now. Made the beat in 10 minutes. And I was like, yo, 40, listen to this. And then he did Tell Me When to Go, and we were like, wow, that's crazy. So he goes in, and he's laying the hook. And so I'm asking the homies in the studio, I'm like, in the Bay, do anybody use that Dumb Girls? Dumb, because y'all say dumb a lot. They were like, no, what's that? No, nobody use it. So I go on the internet while 40 is in the booth, sample it, and when he comes out, finish the hook. He comes out, so we playing it on the speakers in the studio, and I was like, watch this. So we playing this shit loud, gets to the hook, tell me when they go. 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 Dumb. These niggas like to tore the goddamn studio up. They went so fucking crazy in the studio. They were like, oh my God, this is crazy. So we finished the whole song. We leave the studio 9 a.m. and then we go get breakfast together and talk about what's about to happen, because we felt knew that this was going to be a game changer for the Bay, and it was going to be one of the biggest Bay songs ever.
That's amazing. Tale of Two Records, like Blow the Whistle, you weren't as confident in, and Tell Me When to Go, you knew it was going to go.
I knew it was a monster.
As a producer, which feeling is more prevalent for you? Do you normally know when your hits are hits, or do they catch you by surprise?
I think it's half and half. Like Freak a Leak, I didn't know Freak a Leak was going to go that way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, knew that shit was out of here. Goodies, knew that shit was out of here. Tell Me When to Go, knew that was out of here. But yeah, I didn't know. I didn't catch Blow the Whistle. I didn't catch whatever the other one I just said was. Yeah, sometimes you know, sometimes you don't. You can't predict it always.
Right.
Because it's also timing too. The timing of some records. So.
What was going on in that session? I mean, that was the song. I remember when all the lists came out around 2010, songs of the decade. It was on everybody's list. It's the top song of the 2000s, of the early, 2000, 2010. Right. And it's funny because we're coming up on 2020 now. Another decade has passed, And yeah, it's just as classic.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, man. Yeah, I'm blessed to have a couple of records like that in my library, but that is truly the biggest, if not one of the biggest, if not the biggest. I put up there, yeah, and Turn Down for What is my biggest records of my career because of the reach of those records. Turn Down for What is at 800 and over 800 million YouTube plays. It's like 8 million records sold. So, yeah, it's a blessing. But yeah, I mean, that's crazy. I've told that story over and over again. But yeah, the original beat for Yeah was Freak a Leak. I had to go in and redo it. I don't know why. In my head, I was like, well, I know why. I was like, that Freak a Leak ain't gonna be that big. Let's just use the same drums. Just take the synth off. Let's just play a new synth. So that's why it's the same drums but different synths. I didn't expect it to be a hit.
Right.
So I was just like, whatever. But I got to be the first producer to use the exact same drums on 2 songs at the same time, and they both are hits.
Right.
So I got to give you another story real quick. So Sierra Goodies.
Okay.
This is really crazy story. So Sean Garrett, Sierra write the song. Boom, 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 boom. They come back. The song is called Cookies. My Cookies. I'm like, man, that shit is terrible. Y'all got to go back in, man. Cookies. Shout out to my boy Shakir Stewart. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace,
He was a
Shakir.
part of that, all of that. And we both was like, Cookies is not it. Y'all got to go back in. They go back in. All they change is one word. One word. They change Cookies to Goodies. And it goes from trash to smash off of one word. I think for me, that's like the most incredible shit ever because you don't think that one word can change a song. And if you listen to the lyrics, that's why she said if you're looking for the goodies, they're in the jar because it was fucking cookie jar.
Wow.
So
I'm never going to be able to hear that song the same again.
cookies, bro, my cookies. Nah, that ain't it.
Yo, I saw you did an interview. Shout out my man Low Key from Beats One.
Yeah.
And he sent out a tweet. He said that you told him that Jay-Z, Chris Rock, yourself have a song produced by Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
And you got to please make this make sense to me. What world is this?
Rick Rubin, me and Rick Rubin were working together on my album Crunk Juice.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this was before or after. Well, it had to be after. But we stayed in touch. You know, Rick is a fucking amazing guy. So he called me and he was like, I'm doing this song for Jay-Z's greatest, it's like a greatest hits or something like that album. I want you to come in and do some vocals. I got Chris Rock on it. And I was like, hell yeah, fucking Jay-Z, yeah. I don't even remember what the damn song sounded like, but it's tucked away in the vault. Jay, they want to hear the song. People are asking me about it now. So yeah, it's tucked away, and yeah, it's Chris Rock, me, Jay-Z, and produced by Rick Rubin. So you know it's got to be crazy.
I just got to know what to say. I can't even imagine. I've never heard a record like this on paper.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember what it sounded like because I just went in, bang, bam, bam, and it was over. But I mean, I just felt blessed to be Rick to call me, and it's Jay, and even Chris, you know.
Right.
So
what's in the Lil Jon vault? Like, do the majority of your records see the light of day, or there's stuff that's just locked away, key that we?
Yeah, when I was recording all Lil Jon Eastside Boys, everything we recorded got used.
Yeah.
Like I didn't do some people. Like I talked to my homeboy Pooh Bear that works with Justin Bieber. He said
we had him as a guest on the show too. Incredible.
Yeah, he was telling me like they cut 100 records for each album. I'm like, how the hell do you 100 songs, bro? Like, how do you do that? Over 100. No, we just cut and that's it. But now that I've been, getting back into hip hop and I got a lot of songs that I've done that I just got to finish and just get out. So it's a lot in the new vault, the not so old vault, the new vault that I just got to just finish and just add features to and they can come out.
All right. I want to talk to you about, I think now more than ever, and there's always been a device, it's always been very useful, the ad-lib in hip-hop. Migos are very famous for their ad-lib. Young Thug are very famous for their ad-lib.
Yeah.
Really helps move a song. It helps take a verse and really move it. you have Hall of Fame ad libs. The Lil Jon ad libs will go down in history forever.
I guess. Definitely.
Yeah, okay.
See, I think my number one ad lib was on every track, and then Dave Chappelle noticed that I say okay and I say a what too, and I call those crunk tracks because it's just something to hype up the track. It might be like yeah, what, okay, it's just something to hype the track up, fill in the space, and Dave Chappelle noticed that I do that a lot, and so Sketch came and he changed my life forever because he helped to put me in front of people that I never would have reached from music. Mm-hmm. So I thank Dave all the time. Thank you, Dave, for helping me to expand my reach as an artist.
You can't forget the Lovers and Friends ad lib too, just after every line. Shorty.
Yeah. I mean, that was just I'm not the rapper, you know what I mean? I'm not a super rapper, so I had to do something that stood out, and I just wanted it catchy. That's also the producer in me. Like, what can I do to stand out more to make it catchy and make it where they're not even focusing on every line so much too. Mm-hmm. So, and I knew that they would say the Sade. Like even when we do concerts together now with me and Usher Rock, they say the Sades. They say it loud. You know what I mean? So it's great. I'm blessed. That was another number one record.
Who has your favorite ad libs today? Who do you hear because now ad libbing has become like an art.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess Quavo.
Quavo has some good ad libs.
Quavo, yeah, I like his ad libs. Yeah.
Okay. So your favorite Lil Jon song that you've produced?
Turn Down for What? Because I got 50% of that motherfucker, and it was 12 words. I wrote. The Turn Down for What came to me damn near instantly in the booth. Funny part about it is the other line took me the longest to write, like an hour or 2 hours. Fire up that loud, another round of shots. Fire up that loud, another round of shots. Now you know what I'm saying there, okay? The part that nobody knows what the fuck I'm saying took the longest. And the reason I wanted to write, the song was EDM-ish, so I was like, let me make these lines ghetto as fuck. So fire up that loud, another round of shots. So, and then that also had to set up why you saying turn down for what. Yeah. Like, fuck that. Yeah, let's go again, so Turn Down for What I think is my favorite. And it's just the energy, and it's like it's still brand new.
What's the one you feel like you wish you could get back? Let me get a do-over on that one.
I don't really have one because I put so much into every record, and I'm a perfectionist with my producing. Like, if I can do it better, I'm gonna fucking go do it over. I'm gonna go do it again. Right. So.
Yeah, no, we had a conversation about that too off camera about the perfectionist in you.
Yeah, that's it's got to be one thing early on that I wanted to come across was that my brand, you was gonna always get some quality product. Like when you when you looked at Master P's album covers, you knew you was getting. You just could be in the store and you see them album covers, you're like, I'm getting that. That's a No Limit. I'm gonna be good with No Limit. So when people heard a Lil Jon name connected to something, I wanted them to feel like it was gonna be a great, great product, and they could always trust in me to give them something fire.
Right. That's dope, man. Is there an artist that you wanted to work with that you still haven't gotten the chance to? I feel like
Kanye, Jay.
Well, Jay Hop don't blow the whistle, but I guess that's not you working with.
I wasn't in the studio producing them, so that was such a great honor too for him to do that. So I mean, Jay on blow the whistle, Drake doing for free. That's crazy. Two of the biggest rappers ever on, some of my shit. I mean, a lot of these, it's a lot of rappers. I want to work with everybody. Like, I'm the type, throughout my career, I never wanted to be put in a box. I can do R&B. I can do, you know, this. I can do EDM. I could do dancehall. I want to do Afrobeat. I want to do some Afrobeat.
I can see that.
Because my voice. One time I was in Paris and I was in the club, and they had put one of my acapellas over some Afrobeat shit, and it sounded insane. So I always wanted to get on some of that Afrobeat stuff. So
I can see that.
we'll see how that goes.
I can see that, man. Yeah, I learned not to put you in the box because, like I said, man, I remember the Capleton tour record.
Yeah.
I remember you being involved with So Def and the Bass All Stars. So this is the Ghost Town DJs era where you was executive producing that album and controlling that. Down to the Crunk era.
Yeah.
R&B records, but Lovers and Friends, straight R&B, like EDM. Like I've seen you transition. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. When I realized I was like, yo, he could do it all, is when you stepped into grimy New York when you was working with Nas. When you had Nas riding the tank, down Queensbridge, or Quick to Back Down with the Bravehearts.
Back Down, and I did Mobb Deep
Mobb
too.
Deep as well. Yep, rest in peace, Prodigy.
So that's crazy. Yeah, like that I could work with art. Like I'm a big Nas fan, big Mobb Deep fan. Like that's another thing that is awesome when you can work with people that you know you're a fan of their stuff. And then as a producer, you know how you want them to sound too.
Nas gave you one of them verses too. The veteran. You already know who I'm better than.
Nas stamped me. Like he was one of of the veteran hip hop guys. Nas, that was a stamp. That was a cosign for him to get a Lil Jon beat. You know, and to be on the joint. You know, so shout out to Nas. Yeah,
no, man. Well, shout out to you, man. For real, man. I'm glad it's an honor to have you here to be able to talk music with you. The new record with Mac Dre, man. Again, man, you're a hip hop dude, man. You're a hit maker. You're a superstar. But it's just amazing how much your heart is still in there. I think often we see with success, some of our favorite artists,
they stop
they stop caring and
just do whatever. No.
And the way you took care of those Mac Dre vocals and really scienced it and went out of your way to make sure that it sounded right and it sat right with his fans and his family, man. I gotta commend you for that, man.
Thank you. Got more records coming too. Like I got my next single is probably gonna be me, Light Skin Keisha, and Saweetie. Then I got a Tyga record that's insane. Me and Tyga. I got me and Mustard went in and did one. I don't have the features on there yet. I'm figuring it out who I want to put on that one, but it's crazy. One with Chris Brown. He's rapping on it. It's dope. I got a lot of records. I'm trying to drop like a record every 4 to 6 weeks. Just keep putting this stuff out. Just because I just got so much and I got so much to get out. And it's like, I'm also trying to bring the energy back to hip hop and the funness. Like everybody's too cool and too hardcore and, you know, like, nigga, let's have fun. Stand on some tables, wild out, spray some champagne, spray a beer, chug that fucking bottle of liquor. Ladies, shake your ass, dance all night. Don't just dance for 2 seconds to put it on the ground. Dance all night, have a good time, sweat. Let's get back to fucking sweating like Diddy was talking about. Right. Like I've been felt that. Like that's why I don't be in urban clubs all the time no more, because over here you go to this open format and people are fucking dancing, losing their mind all night, and then over here everybody just in a section smoking hookah and just watching everybody pop bottles. And they turn up for 2 seconds and they go back to this. Like, we definitely got to bring the energy back to hip-hop. Like, growing up in the hip-hop in the 80s and the 90s, the 90s is the best era, I think, ever for hip-hop. Like, in the 80s and the 90s, like, it was about dancing. It was about all of the dances. And it was about leaving the fucking club sweating. You had to be... Your shirt had to be wet. Right. You know, we had a good time going, and especially in the 90s, the classics, when the classics came on at the end of the night, the last hour, the sing-along hour, like, bro, we got to get back to that.
Nah, man. Well, I definitely appreciate you. Always brought the energy in the club, man. You always gave people a reason to smile, a reason to dance and have fun, man. So I appreciate you for that.
It's all good.
Lil Jon, thank you for coming on For the Record, man.
All right.
And thank y'all for watching, man. Check us out next week. Peace.